Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Dragon Lady. We're so glad that you guys came on time so we're able to start. And we are so thrilled to have all of you here tonight. My name is Shung and I will be your MC for this evening. And I want to say that you are in for a night of laughter, a night of reflection, a night of stories that are both wildly funny but also deeply personal. Now, before we dive into the show this evening, I have a few quick announcements for you to make sure that all of us here have the best experience possible. Firstly, we're going to start the show very soon, and we'll be closing the doors soon, and we'd like to ask everyone to please remain seated throughout the entirety of the show if possible, especially those of us who are seated in the front row, because we are in the midst of recording this performance as well. Secondly, please ensure that your phones are switched to silent mode. We don't want to hear your phones ring during the show, right? We also ask that you refrain from taking any photos or videos during the show, but sit back and enjoy the experience fully. Thirdly, we want to let you know that this entire show is being recorded by a great team of videographers around and may be uploaded to social media and also to streaming platforms. So we want to ask you to avoid walking across or standing in front of the cameras. In fact, please remain seated for the entirety of the show if possible. And lastly, we want to take this opportunity to thank a few important people that have made this evening possible. We want to give a big thank you to Live Church for generously providing this venue free of charge for YTIA this evening. And a special thank you to Ealing and the Missing Piece for sponsoring YTIA's beautiful outfit tonight. And of course, to our incredible team of volunteers all around us for working hard behind the scenes, a very big thank you as well. Now, before we begin, I want to welcome YTIA's husband, Cliff, and their two beautiful daughters, Esther Praise and Sarah Faith, to the stage. You know, this evening, come, let's put our hands together. This evening is really a celebration of the journey that they've walked together as a Tam family. And it's as much about them as it is about YTIA. And so Cliff and the girls have a few words to say.
I go first. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for all your support and encouragement. Now, I don't know about you, but when I met Rachel, I know she is serious. But I did not realize she's also seriously funny. So, before we let her start the show, our baby dragons have something to say.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Faith. I'm gonna ask you a riddle. Are you ready?
Yes!
What kind of sweet is never on time? Yes!
Hi, my name is Esther Praise. I'm 6 years old. I want to ask you a riddle too. Are you ready?
Yes!
What tree fits in your hand? Yeah, a palm tree.
Thank you, girls. Thank you, baby dragons. Hey, you know, as many of you guys know, and most of us here, we would know YTIA and Cliff, but if you don't already know, YTIA and Cliff have been serving in a small remote town in East Africa. YTIA as a humanitarian doctor, and Cliff as a pastor and IT specialist at a mission hospital. They've been involved with training community health leaders, teaching medical students, maintaining the website at the mission hospital, and of course, mentoring students locally and abroad to encourage them to give their lives to serving underserved communities. You know, their family continued to serve in East Africa by faith, meaning they do not receive a salary nor any regular monthly support by any organization, but live fully by contributions and other means, trusting God to provide for every step of the way. So as they enter into the second year in the field, we'd love to invite you to consider giving in to their mission. Please do not feel obliged to do so, as we are so grateful for your generous support in purchasing a ticket this evening. However, if you would like to support them or find out more, there are ways that you can do so. Firstly, by purchasing one of YTIA's Chinese calligraphy originals on my right and your left. Secondly, by buying her book Dream Brave, and you can find that also on my left, or by making a direct love gift to support their mission. Your generosity will help to sustain the life-changing work that they do overseas, so thank you for being a part of their story. Now, on to the main event of the evening that all of us are here for. So I want to tell you today that laughter is a great gift, and I want to ask you to do me a favor this evening. Don't hold back your laughter, give it everything that you have. And so you have full permission this evening to give out one of those big belly laughters. Your neighbor will forgive you for that, don't worry about it. So take a deep breath, everyone take a deep breath. Loosen your belt if you have to, because you get ready. Would you now please join me in giving a warm, thunderous welcome to our storyteller, our Dragon Lady, Dr. Tam Wai Tia.
Hello, Singapore! Oh my goodness, wow, look at you guys! We've got a full house. How did this happen? Like a couple of months ago, I did a poll on Instagram. Usually nobody does my polls on Instagram, but this time over 1,000 of you voted. I asked people a simple question. What new endeavor do you think Cliff and I would be embarking on? I gave people 4 options. Number 1, we would scale Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa's tallest mountain. Number 2, we were going to start a coaching and counseling business. Number 3, we were going to have a 3rd baby. And number 4, I was going to do a stand-up comedy. Do you want to guess the percentage of people who guessed each option? Do you want to give it a go? How many people voted for us to climb Kilimanjaro? 9%. 9% thought we were fit enough. How many people voted for us to start a coaching and counseling business? Yeah, quite close. 43%. That was so unexpected. But do you want to guess how many people thought we were having a baby? When it comes to having babies, everyone becomes very invested. Over 1,000 of you voted. Cliff's phone wouldn't stop ringing off the hook that day. Zzz, congrats, zzz, congrats, zzz, congrats. I hadn't even announced the results yet. 46%. Mathematicians out there. How many percent of people thought I was going to do a stand-up? A grand total of 2% are the 12 people who voted for me here tonight. Put up your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you for your vote of confidence. Y'all don't think I'm funny, is it? But you know what, friends? This is so unexpected because I told Cliff, I said, because of the results, please don't release so many tickets. Very embarrassing if nobody buys them. So just release 50. He said, no, I'm going to release 100. In less than 48 hours, all the tickets were snapped up. Then Cliff said, I'm going to release another 100 tickets. I said, no, please don't. And in the next 48 hours, all the tickets were snapped up again. And then Cliff said, I'm going to release all the tickets. It's going to be a full house. And I said, you're crazy. And then in the next 48 hours, my friends, people were fighting over the tickets. Still sending me DMs. Can we still get tickets? Do you have spare tickets? So my friends, since then, everybody has been congratulating me. Congratulations on 2 sold-out shows, 1 in Singapore, 1 in Perth. I said, hello, my friends. This is my debut. It doesn't mean I'm good. It just means you guys are awesome. Give yourselves a round of applause for filling the house tonight. Whew. You know, we didn't even think that we would be in Singapore at this time. Cliff and I are hard-working Asians. When we went to Tanzania, we thought, it'll be years and years before we ever took a break out of Tanzania. Who needs a holiday, right? But guess what? A pastor from Australia, a Singaporean pastor from Australia, reached out to us and said, hey, Cliff Waicha, I've got a house for you in Australia. If you guys can fly yourselves out of Tanzania, I'll prepare it for you. You guys should take a good break before you go back to Tanzania to continue serving. And then me, like the good Christian girl that I am, I said over Zoom, thank you so much, Pastor. I will definitely pray and think about it and get back to you by next week. To which Cliff said, whoa, we're taking it. What other sign from God do you need? So Cliff went ahead to book the air tickets, which made me very angry. Because I said, now that you've booked the air tickets, what am I going to do? I'm going to be here in Singapore, I'm going to be shouting at everybody, stop buying that. Hey, put that down. Hey, you think we're rich, is it? But guess what? I'm going to tell you a side story. So a year ago, a stranger from Melbourne reached out to me. She said, hey, Cliff and Waicha, we don't know each other, but I've heard about your mission. I really want to give you a significant love gift. But can you Zoom with me first? And then Cliff said, wow, so easy, just Zoom. We're not funded regularly by any organization, right? And we're not going to get salary by the Mission Hospital. So, it was a natural thing to do. But the more I prayed about it, the more I thought about it, I felt God telling me, no, don't do it. There's this conviction in me, you see. Because I knew that if I went on that Zoom, I would be trying to put my best foot forward. I'll be trying to pander to win the affirmation and approval of people who are richer than me. That is not right. So the Holy Spirit told me, don't do it. You know what? I felt so good about myself. I stood my ground. I held on to my principles and I told myself, once I pass the test, the money will come in. And then it didn't. Now, over a year has passed. After Cliff went to book the 4 flight tickets, I get an email from the same lady I hadn't heard in over 12 months. And guess what she said? Please check your bank accounts. I was like, did I give you my details? And there was a sum. There was a sum. More than enough to cover 4 flight tickets from Tanzania to Singapore, Singapore to Perth, and Perth back to Tanzania, and a little bit more. Isn't God amazing? He's amazing, isn't he? From this incident, my friends, I learned a very sobering lesson. A lesson that so many people had been telling me again and again over the years, but I never listened. And the lesson is this. Things in Australia move a lot more slowly than things in Singapore. Because usually things like international fee transfers take 1 to 3 business days in Singapore. This one took over a year to come to us. But still, I am very grateful to that lady whom I've still not met to thank personally. But jokes aside, my friends, some of you knew that we came home earlier, right, than expected because of Cliff. It was so unexpected. I was so stressed up. I'm a doctor, right? I'm also his wife. I kind of not want him to die. I said, Cliff, if you die, what's going to happen to the stand-up? And he said, Waicha, just go ahead. You can do it in remembrance of me. And I said, Cliff, there's no fun in roasting a dead person. He was so sick, it really worried me. He was so sick, he had a fever for over 8 days, and there was no explanation to it. I did all the tests, I did all the right things, gave him antibiotics, Nothing worked. Now finally, I started to panic. I said, I have to make a very stressful decision in less than 24 hours. Do we fly back to Singapore or do I medically evacuate? But they only allow for Kenya. So what do? So finally, I made the very important decision that we were going to take the next flight out into Singapore. And guess what, my friends? Do you know how stressful it is to be doctor, nurse, lab tech, social worker, care coordinator, all in one? And I have less than 24 hours to pack up the whole house and pack suitcases for everybody, plus hire staff to look after the compound, because burglaries are quite common there. You understand stress? I was really stressed out. Now finally, we made our way to Kilimanjaro Airport. I was pushing the luggage, the airport trolley, and finally, in a moment of utter exhaustion, I just face planted into my sweater on the trolley. And Cliff, being Cliff, even though he's still sick, he started to gently rub my back, and he said, Waicha, I'm starting to feel better now. Your friends, their prayers, it really worked. And I went, you feel what? You couldn't have felt better earlier, so have to feel better now? And he goes, well, I'm sorry, the next time I'll come back with you in a box. And I said, a coffin? Do you know how heavy a coffin is to drag out of Kilimanjaro to Singapore? The next time this happens, you bring yourself back in an urn. Men, up to their deathbed, so inconvenient, so inconsiderate. But honestly, I'm so glad that Cliff is here. Are we not glad? Cliff is alive and well. Whew. I mean, what a roller coaster it has been. But we've seen all the doctors that we need. Half of our time here spent going in and out of medical appointments. But we're so thankful that Cliff is alive and well. You know, when the stand-up was confirmed, people gave me one of two reactions. Number one, huh? But you're so serious. Number two, they went, oh my goodness, you're so brave. You're so brave. And I was like, whoa, guys. Nobody gave us that reaction when a year ago we packed up our lives and moved halfway across the world to Tanzania. We exposed ourselves to malaria, to Ebola, to fever-crushing hippos. But stand-up comedy? Wow, that's your new danger zone right there, my friends. I see where your priorities lie, people. But people have been asking me, they say, Waisha, how did you start writing jokes? I said, you know, shortly after we landed in the field, my therapist diagnosed me with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And I realized my insurance in Singapore doesn't cover mental health therapy. And because laughter is cheaper than therapy, I thought, why not? And that, my friends, was the moment I realized that I'm not only traumatized, but I'm Asian and cheap. People have been asking me this question, why is your show 16 plus? Why can't we bring kids along? I mean, is it dirty? Are you going to have sexual jokes? Are you going to say curse words? No! Relax. The reason is because kids, you know, they take things so literally. You know, my 8-year-old, she worships me. She goes, Mommy, you are the best. Mommy, I love you so much. Mommy, you are my angel. 2 days ago during the rehearsal, she had this uncharacteristic moment. She came up to me and she goes, Mommy, she says with a deadpan face, you are a tiger mom. And I go, whoa. What did I do? Why would you say that? And then she points to the Dragon Lady poster outside this hall and she says, it says right here, Asian tiger mom meets cross-cultural da-da-da-da-da-da. So my friends, that is the reason why we don't have kids here today. But you know what? Instead of having kids, I've flown in a very special guest, especially just for this debut performance. Do you want to meet this person? This person is so crucial to the performance that I told him, in spite of all these years of awkward and strained relationship, I had to fly him in specially. This person is my ex. My ex became my ex because he's currently now my husband. Would you put your hands together and welcome Cliff Chan on stage. You know, Cliff, do you believe it? I mean, some of you think he must have heard me say these jokes again and again, right? You want to know the truth? He hasn't heard the full show, not even once. And I said, why don't you want to listen to me practice? This was his reply.
Because I want a surprise.
Surprise, surprise, Cliff. You know, it's really good to keep your spouse on their toes. It keeps them at all times mildly destabilized. Especially after 13 years of marriage, you gotta keep the spice alive. Right? But Cliff, if you know him, he's an amazing man. Like, he has a tremendous life story. How old were you when you had your liver cancer?
10 years old.
And when did you have your liver transplant?
Just before I turned 11.
Wow. And if you're not already impressed by that, at the age of 27, you did what?
An Ironman triathlon.
One of the world's hardest Ironman triathlons. That is a 3.8 kilometer swim, 180 kilometer bike ride, followed by a full marathon after that. And I told myself, if a man could so willingly put himself through so much excruciating pain for such a long time, then he would potentially withstand a lifetime of marriage to me. And that's why I married Cliff. Thanks so much, sweetheart. Up to today, people still ask us the same few questions. So how do you get together? And I keep telling them, I said, I married my online stalker. And they don't believe me. But it's true. But if you ask Cliff, he'll tell you, between the two of us, that I made the first move. Tonight, shall we set the record straight? Yeah, surprise! I told him I would be a little bit unhinged. Not too much, but just a little bit. Now, many years ago, I had just picked up triathlon as a sport. And I thought to myself, man, it's so expensive. Like, it kind of doesn't fit with my desire to do humanitarian work. So one day, I Googled randomly, Christian triathlete. And guess what? His blog shows up. First thing. I go into his blog, I'm like, whoa, look at this guy's inspirational life story. But on his profile picture is him on a podium and a woman hugging and kissing a medal. So I think to myself, this guy is married. What a great thing. Congratulations. So I left a harmless little comment on his blog. Your life is very inspiring. But I didn't know. I was a tech dinosaur, still am. I didn't know my comment linked back to my blog. So he scoured through my blog, and then he starts writing to me via email every day, up to 5 times a day. Okay, I'm getting worried now. Why are you saying wow? Like, it's so romantic. I'm really worried now. This was not the reaction I was expecting. But you know, after so many months, I wrote back and forth. One day, my conscience hits me. I go, oh my goodness, what have I been doing with my time and my life? So I print out the entire stack of Hotmail email exchanges. And I called my mentor up for lunch, and I said, I confess, I repent, full disclosure. You can read all the emails. I don't know what I've been doing. I've been writing to this complete stranger. He could be a scammer. He could be a cyber sex stalker. He could be a woman. I'm so sorry. And my mentor is very calm. She goes, okay, don't worry about it. I'll read it and I'll get back to you tomorrow. And she gets back to me by tomorrow. And guess what she says? She says, I prayed about it. I don't know about you. I get really scared when people say, I prayed about it. And I have a word. She goes, Waisha, I prayed. I feel the Holy Spirit tell me you should keep writing to him. I said, the Holy what told you? You know, out of all the Christians, can I tell you something? These charismatic Pentecostals, they're the weirdest. That laugh was supposed to be louder because that's what we are. Anyways, Cliff asks me, I want to come and see you. I'm like, from Canada? And I'm like, no. You don't understand the meaning of a pen pal. And then a few months later, he writes back to me and he says, I'm gonna come anyways. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I got a group of my friends and we are going to visit and support an anti-sex trafficking ministry in Cambodia. And because Cambodia is so close to Singapore, I'm gonna come swing by and see you. I'm like, Cambodia, Singapore, swing by. You think this is what? Oh, chunky to the MRT, is it? I'm like, no. But guess what? He comes in anyways, and that weekend happens to be my birthday weekend. I have over 100 people from my childhood days all the way to medical school. They're all there, and they all love Cliff. Everybody's asking me, are you guys together? And I'm like, I don't even know this guy. But I do my duty. I do pray to God. And I say, God, if there's anything remotely special about this man, please show me in a very clear sign. But not in some Holy Spirit voice. No. And guess what? The next day, Cliff texts me. 6:15 in the morning. I don't even bother to send him to the airport. Okay? And he says, I had a great time. And I'm like, can you just go already? 4 hours later, I look down at my phone and it buzzes. Zzz. And there are 3 words. I'm still here. And I'm like, oh no, what's going on? And he goes, the plane broke down. I see through your high-level, high-functioning scam. You're just saying that to earn an extra day of a date with me. I'm not gonna fall for it. Guess what? I outsource him. I have a friend who does real humanitarian work in Cambodia. I decide to hook them up. They can have dinner, not me. But at 5:45 p.m., guess what? My friend texts me. And she says, the boy that I'm tutoring has fractured his ankle. I'm on the way to the emergency department. Cliff is at level 1 at City Hall. He doesn't have a phone. You have to meet him. Tragically, that becomes our first date. And I think to myself, oh, I think he's quite a decent guy. But I say, God, I think the first time could have been a fluke. You have to show me very clearly in a second sign if Cliff is remotely special at all. Okay? So the next day, Cliff texts me at 6:15 a.m. again. And he says all these nice things. I had a great time with you. I wish we could be together. Just go. Safe travels. And then 4 hours later, my phone buzzes again. And I look down, and it's the same 3 words. I'm still here. And I say, what's going on? And he goes, I went to the airport. I went past the departure gate. I even boarded the plane. There were 4 of us, but only 3 seats, so they kicked me out. I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? But Cliff staying back on a Tuesday was really good, because on Tuesday evenings, that's the time when Grandpa Joe, an elderly crippled man who plays the harmonica next to the train station my house, plays. And Grandpa Joe, over the years, we became friends. I adopted him as my god-grandpa. He's also a very good personal boyfriend screener. A few years ago, I brought a boy from medical school. Everybody thought we were going to get together. So I brought him to go and see Grandpa Joe. And guess what? Even before he could go and greet Grandpa Joe, he was already reeling from his stench. So I thought, it's not going to work out. The second suitor, so much potential. Glowing resume, long lineage of pastors and doctors. He even drove his car to send Grandpa Joe home. And I thought, this guy's a winner. I opened his car, and there on the car seat was lined with towels so that Grandpa Joe wouldn't defile his car. Why you sigh? This kind? So now that Cliff was here, I was really excited to see how Cliff would respond. But who would have known, my friends? Who would have known that years and years of eating cyclosporin, which is his daily immunosuppressant for his liver transplant, every day would have the side effect of completely decimating his sense of smell? So Cliff cozied right up to Grandpa Joe, and together they bonded in fluent Cantonese. Under the glow of the street lamp, I suddenly saw how kind and good-looking he was. A tear started to fall, and Cliff asked me, do you need a tissue? The rest was history. He went back to Canada. He applied to only one humanitarian international organization with 65 offices around the world, and without them knowing a thing about me. Of all places that they could have sent him to, they sent him to their headquarters in Singapore. This is where the saying, you can run from God's will, but you cannot hide, comes from. Now Cliff, he's an amazing man, but honestly, he has really derailed my plans. You see, when I was 10, I aspired to be a nun. And then in my early 20s, I applied for a Masters of Public Health to Johns Hopkins University to further my degree. And on the day of my application, he proposed. Okay, again, that was not the reaction I was going for. You do realize I'm doing all of this for the first time, right? Wow. And so I told myself, Cliff, I don't know what to do with you, but ever since I've gotten married to you, I've got a different degree of suffering. Do you know, every time someone asks me about my husband, I get the same level of disdain and condescension. It always starts like this. Oh, where's your husband from? So innocent. And then when I tell them, oh, my husband is Canadian. Whoa. They imagine tall, Caucasian, Canadian, Cliff. And then they look at me with this judgy look. Oh, so you're one of those women, huh? Our local men not good enough for you, is it? Huh? You have to go overseas, go and fish for something branded, something exotic. You think you're better than all of us, huh? And I go, whoa. Have you seen Cliff? He's like the Mao Pai Huo. He is the import from Hong Kong. Made in China. I don't deserve this. Now, Asians, do you agree we are very diverse? Are there people who are outside of Singapore over here? Where are you from? Just shout it out. Besides Singapore. Huh? Australia, anybody else? Hong Kong, anybody else? India, yeah. Anybody else? You're gonna have a joke you will love later on. Anybody else? Okay, so you see, Asians are diverse, and you know the worst crime that you can ever commit to an Asian person is identifying them as the wrong kind of Asian. Now, we live in East Africa now, right? Now, sometimes when we walk on the streets, we really stand out. People will come up to us, and sometimes, you know, we get made fun of. Sometimes people go, Jackie Chan, Jackie Chan. I'm like, where? And then people go, 안녕하세요. And then I go, ooh, where? Or sometimes they go, arigatou gozaimasu. And I'm like, oh, look, guys, nimetoka nchi ya Singapore. I say in Swahili, I'm from Singapore. And you'll be so surprised in some parts of East Africa, people will actually say, oh, Lee Kuan Yew's country. My heart would swell with pride. I'm like, that's it. You know, this experience is far different from my experience in America. Are there any Americans in the house today? Are there any Americans? No? All right. Americans are effusively friendly people. Right? So I was at a Gap store. I was trying to buy some clothes. And then the cashier tries to strike a conversation with me. Are you from China? And I'm like, no. And she goes, oh, you're from Singapore. And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, Singapore's not in China? And I go, no. And by this time, she's checking me out. I'm kind of checked out as well. And she goes, so, which part of China is Singapore in? And I go, the independent part. But don't get me wrong, we have lots of American friends. Like in the field, plenty of the humanitarian workers are from America. They are not only effusively friendly, they are very charitable. Last year, for Thanksgiving dinner, they invited Cliff and I and our family for Thanksgiving dinner. And they said, Cliff and Waija, we're so honored to have you. And they made everybody go around saying one word of Thanksgiving publicly. So I did my part. And at the end of the dinner, the host, the American host, a lovely lady ran up to me and she said, Waija, I'm so delighted that you're here. I never knew people from Singapore spoke with a British accent. thank you. I also didn't know I don't know about you, my friends, but in my world, the world has more than 2 accents. Okay, my problem is this. My problem is that today, Cliff is technically more North Americanized than Asian. Right? I mean, he moved to Canada when he was 8, and then he did a liver transplant when he was in. He is forever indebted now to the continent of North America. So if you ask him, what are your favorite foods? He'll tell you, lasagna, pizza, spaghetti. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't that cheese, dough, and tomato sauce in different permutations? I don't know, is there like an ingredient shortage in America right now? Or like food scarcity? I don't know. But you see, my friends, now, the real test as to know how Asian you really are is that when you've been away from home for as long a time as we have, to as far away as we have, the thing you miss the most is not your father, your mother, your uncle, your auntie, your brother, your sister, your pet. No, it is a bowl of laksa. It is a 香喷喷的小笼包. It is a 菜岛粿 with the wok hei. Do you understand what the wok hei is? The wok hei is the blackened grease char underneath street foods you find in Singapore and other parts of Southeast Asia. You guys are my people, right? Yeah. You know how hard it is to recreate wok hei? Yeah, I know, because I tried in Tanzania with a small frying pan and a lot of trauma. So I am mildly embarrassed that I'm now in an intimate relationship with someone whose favorite foods do not contain copious amounts of MSG, soy sauce, and wok hei. But I decide, I'm going to give Cliff a chance. One day he's in the living room doing push-ups in Tanzania, and I say, Cliff, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you ready? Don't think too much, just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. 3, 2, 1, what's the thing you miss the most of Singapore? Go! And he goes, cycling. I'm like, cycling? That's not even a food group. So I do the same thing to my firstborn. You know, my 8-year-old, you saw her just now. Just adorable bundle of joy. She's a splitting image of me. Highly responsible, tightly, highly organized. I ask her the same question. She gets out a piece of paper. She gets a pen. She writes out a list of 10 things. 8 out of those 10 things were foods from Singapore. Give that girl a round of applause. Yeah! 1 for the win. My second born is so different. She's such a dreamer. She's super chill, super laid back, just like Cliff. I give her a piece of paper, I give her a pen. She writes down 2 things. Number 1, trampoline. Number 2, automatic car wash. Whose child is this? After so many years, I've had to come to the very hard and difficult conclusion that I've had to accept the reality that I have been married to a banana. Because Cliff is so yellow on the outside, but he's so white on the inside. Me? My friends, I am the opposite. Back in the days in high school, I've got my high school teacher here. Hello! Back in those days, you know, I used to have extracurricular activities like English debates, English dance, English drama. And then I published a book called Dream Brave, an American publisher, American book tour. You'll see the book after the show. And then I understand if people say you are too westernized. Let me tell you something. If you slit my wrist, I will bleed out golden salted egg yolk from the liu sha bao for you. Because I am a 正宗的liu sha bao. I'm white on the outside, but I'm yellow on the inside. Guys, if you find a girl like us, who's Asian on the inside, your future is secured. Are there single men in the house today? Raise your hands. Single men in the house today? Come on, don't be scared. You're afraid right now. Come on out of hiding. All right, girls, single girls, if they didn't raise their hands, you don't want them. Guys, listen up. If you catch an Asian girl like us, your future is secure, your kids' futures are secure. Why? Because you don't have to slave over curating your 10-year plan. All you need to do is to hand the woman a 10-year series. Because girls like us, we will develop to become mothers who are Asian on the inside, who will more often than not manifest to become tiger moms. The problem is this: when you first start dating a girl, you will not understand the potential that she has to become a tiger mom. This is where you take notes. You start by asking her this question, casually of course, over a meal. When you were young, did your mother ever wrap your textbooks and exercise books with plastic wrap? Unlike what you all thought, wrapping books with plastic wrap is not a hobby. It is a hereditary trait. So, if the girl that you are dating has a mother who wrapped her textbooks and exercise books with plastic wrap, then the chances of her inheriting this transcendent intergenerational discipline is very, very high. If she protects your kids' textbooks, she will protect your bloodline. This is the kind of woman you want. You want a woman who will put your toddler on Duolingo, who will send your baby to Mandarin, Fusion, Montessori, ballet. That way, you can be free. Free to grow your business, free to go to the gym, free to chase your dreams. Because behind every successful man is a tiger mom printing worksheets at 2 a.m. in the morning. Cliff had every advantage. He could have hustled. He could have climbed the career ladder. Look at me. But no, he didn't. He decided he wanted to be a stay-at-home dad. Between our parenting styles, our Venn diagrams do not touch. He said, I want to be a stay-at-home dad because I believe in fun. I believe in bonding. I believe in being emotionally present for our kids. And I say, okay, lor. Cliff likes to ask our kids questions at home, like, what do you feel like eating? And I'm like, why should you ask them what they feel like eating? Why don't you ask me what I feel like cooking? And then when the kids are eating, he will go, oh, no, you cannot finish. It's okay. And I'm like, I don't understand. But the worst thing is this: he brings home contraband. Do you understand what contraband is? He brings home things like Doritos, Skittles, M&Ms, and bowl-shaped pasta. When the kids were very young, he decided to make mealtimes fun. And so he bought a can of alphabet soup. I have a thing against alphabet soup. Firstly, if I were to recreate alphabet soup, I would create it in Chinese characters that form Chengyu. Then, at dinner time, I'll tell the kids, are you hungry? Good. If you're hungry, solve the puzzle and then you can have dinner. No Chengyu, no dinner. This is like Asian Scrabble. This way, you get the child motivated to think and motivated to eat. You instill character recognition and character development at the same time. You kill two birds with one stone. This is what I call minimum input, maximum output. Pure Asian genius. But no, these Western parents are so different. I know because I gave birth to two of my girls in Canada and I raised them there for 2 years. No. Western parents will ask the kids, what do you feel like eating? They will coax the child, they will test the child for allergies. Do you know, if you take a stone and you go to Canada and you throw it at anyone, it will hit a kid, every other kid who has an allergy to egg, milk, or peanut. My daughter, who was born there, raised her there for the first 2 years. At the age of 18 months, my firstborn, my sweet firstborn whom you saw just now, she developed untreatable severe eczema. It was so bad, my friends. I was so distraught. I cried every day because she would scratch and scratch and scratch from the top of her neck to the tip of her ankles. And she bled. She bled so much. We did everything we could. We sent her to the pediatrician. We did food elimination diet. We did allergy testing. She was allergic to everything we could think of. MSG, soy sauce, egg, peanut, everything. I was devastated. As I cried out to God, I felt God bring to my mind that actually, while we were comfortably in Canada, I still had a few months left of my contract with the Singapore government as a medical doctor to serve. And I realized that, okay, I don't understand how these two things connect, but yeah, maybe it's time to go back to Singapore. We were so comfortable in Canada, we've forgotten about doing humanitarian work and all that. So, in obedience, without understanding, we flew back to Singapore. And guess what? I kid you not, I have photos to prove it. Within 2 days, my daughter's angry, leathery, red, bloody skin. I'm using bloody as a physical descriptor, not as a curse word. Her bloody skin melted to become this porcelain, baby smooth skin, soft like silken tofu. Back in the days, I used to share at churches to tell people of the amazing healing work that God can do. But today, my friends, I have an additional revelation. This is the power of Asia. Just by being in it makes you more resilient. Today, my 8-year-old can eat anything she wants. She's cured of all allergies. Everybody keeps asking me, what cured her? And I tell them, soy sauce, MSG, and a little bit of wok hei. But okay, I admit not everything Asian is good. You know, sometimes Cliff and the kids, they do give me feedback. They say, Mommy, sometimes you're a little bit controlling. And then people tell me, look at the Bible. Look at what the Bible says about parenting. Look to God. God is a good, good Father. Take your cue from Him. My friends, you don't think I read my Bible, is it? You don't believe I have a master's of theology, is it? Let me tell you something. Out of all my studying, all the research I have done, I have discovered an important theological parenting conclusion. Are you ready for it? God is not Asian. You know the story in Genesis? You know the story? Eve ate the forbidden fruit, passed it on to Adam. No. What did God do? Adam, where are you? Like he didn't know. Like they were playing hide and seek. Of course he knew. Such a gracious, kind, loving God. If God were an Asian parent, what would He have said? Can you imagine? Seek it now, you want to die, is it? Look around you, this is the Garden of Eden, this is paradise. 你们身在福中不知福。But I digress. The key to being a good tiger parent is giving the illusion that you're a fun and loving mom when actually you're mean and uncompromising on the inside. One day, my 7-year-old bounces home from school and she comes to me and she says, Mommy, can I be an English teacher? Parents, this is a trick question. No. Now she's put me in a spot. If I say, yeah, sure, go and be an English teacher, I hand her the passport to poverty and a lifetime of being tortured by kids less than half her age for the rest of her life. But if I say no, then I risk being exposed as the mean, domineering tiger mom that I really am. I can't do that. So I come up with a creative and honest answer. Sweetheart, when I was your age, I said the same thing. But she goes on, Mommy, I'm going to be an English teacher. I'm going to come back to Tanzania. I'm going to help these kids who need me. At this time, a tear starts to swell in my eye. And I realize, gosh, I'm succumbing. But on other days, my friends, I have standards. Every day after school, at home, when we're in Tanzania, I make sure that the kids go for Swahili, Mandarin, and English revision. Every single day. There is no negotiation about this. When they come home from school, they go, oh, Mommy, I'm so tired. And I go, spit spot, freshen up and let's go for it. And one day, Cliff, seeing the pain that my children are going through, he comes up to me and he says, Waisha, you know, sometimes I really think when the kids come home from school, you should just let them play and rest. And I go, play? Rest? In our home, we don't use such words. But you see, these kids, they are so cute, but they're so different from our generation, right? I love seeing this intergenerational audience. You know, back in our days, when we were young, well, what did we do after school? We had 2 to 3 hours of tuition, enrichment class, and then after daycare, right? Student care, and then in the weekends, this whole thing would repeat itself. But these days, the kids, they are so different. They are not only Asian, they are Christian as well, some of them. And that means they have to observe something called the Sabbath. Do you know what the Sabbath is? It's a 24-hour window period of uninterrupted rest. Can I ask you, how many hours are there in a day? 24? Yeah. 24 divided by 7 days a week. What number do you get? Mathematicians in the house, I need you. What is that? 3.4. Thank you. 3. Are you a math teacher? Forgive my teacher joke. 3.4. These days, these kids have an average of 3.4 hours of rest every single day. What more rest do you want? You blame me for being a mean tiger mom. I blame you for not letting me, for making me observe the Sabbath. Every Sunday, I could have leisurely done all this work together with my kids, bonding. Now I have to cram in the first 6 days of the week. Do you know how stressful that is? But okay, I know there are many of you here today. You are actually civic-minded, ethically conscious families. And you do support Cliff and I because, you're wondering in your heart of hearts, can I do this with my kids someday? Can I do something different? Can I dare to be brave, to step out of my comfort zone? Will I ruin my kids' future? Will I destroy their education? Let me tell you the truth. One day, my 8-year-old comes home with a science test paper with 47% on it and a red circle around it. I look at her and I say, sweetheart, how do you think you did? And she goes, I did well, Mommy. I was like, whoa, this is bad. She doesn't even understand the percentage sign. But I take a deep breath and I say, sweetheart, why do you say that? And she goes, because, Mommy, I put my best in all that I do. And when I do my best, I feel happy. And inside I go, who taught you how to speak like that? I send her away. I clutch her science test paper in my hands. I run into a room. I shut the door and I have a full mental breakdown. This is true, by the way. All the stories are true. I say, God, what have I done? God, don't you care about my kids' futures? God, why aren't you Asian? in my distress, my sheer distress, I directly text the school principal. So what do I do now? The school principal is a lovely American lady. She senses my distress and immediately she texts me back. Waija, do not worry. This was an end-of-year test administered to the kids at midterm. Half the syllabus has not yet been taught, so they are not expected to do well. It's just a learning exercise. And I go, oh, so many things wrong about that sentence. Oh, learning exercise, not expected to do well. I compose myself and I say, I have an important question to ask. Do the kids know what you just told me? And she says, of course. At our school, we love our children to celebrate and enjoy learning, and we love parenting parents like you. My friends, by this time, I am mad. I am fire-breathing dragon lady mad, because that is not the answer that I want. The answer that I want is, this end-of-year test was administered to the kids at midterm, but secretly, so that they will know how hard they have to work for the rest of the year. Parents here, do you realize that 90% of our work with our kids back home is just telling them that they need to work harder? I want a school that will destroy their inner spirit so that they'll be stressed, anxious, and motivated enough to work hard on their own. School should break their spirit. So by the time the kids are sent home to me, all I need to do is to be a cheerleader and top up the snacks. Minimum input, maximum output for everybody. This is the kind of partnership that I want with the school. You guys looking at me like I'm the only one? Am I? But instead now, I have two mentally healthy, socially confident kids. All thanks to Cliff and my American school principal. I can't create child prodigies like that. Every child prodigy needs a mental health diagnosis. Look at me. I saw a person who was laughing on the inside only. Now, the thing is this, I'm not so crazy as well. I just want you to know. People always ask me, do you want your girls to become a doctor like you? And I say, no. Why would I want that? Why would I wish that kind of suffering upon anybody? I say, no, they don't have to. But you know, being a doctor is honestly overrated. Everybody comes up to me these days and they go, wow, Waija, you are a doctor. Wow, you serve in Africa. Wow, you won the Presidential Medal for battling COVID-19. My friends, sure, I did the degree. Sure, I won the award, sure. You know, Cliff and the kids, they came and they clapped for me at the award ceremony. Can I tell you something? The one thing I have done in my life that has saved more lives and impacted the world more than any of my awards, my achievements, and my accolades, it comes down to this one thing. I don't drive. Road traffic accidents are the #1 cause of death of young people globally. More than cancer, more than heart disease, more than depression. And every minute I stand behind here, every second behind the mic I stand, not behind the wheel, it's a life being saved. A second has passed. And another second, and another second, and another. Every second that passes that I'm standing here, lives are being saved all around the world. Minimum input, maximum output. Minimum input, maximum output. Do you understand? No. But, my friends, I still have people from medical school coming up to me saying, Waija, why? Why didn't you become the surgeon that you wanted to be? By now, if you had taken surgery, you would have become a surgeon. Can I tell you something? Surgeons don't get it. Do you know why? Do you know that an inordinate number of hours a surgeon has to study? The inordinate number of hours a surgeon has to work. The inordinate number of hours a surgeon has to be stuck in an operating room. Operating on who? A small, select group of patients. They are doing the opposite. They are doing maximum input, minimum output. They should be ashamed to be Asian. Oh, wait a minute. Are there surgeons in the house today? I think I see one there. I think I invited another also. But uncle, auntie, I know some of you have brought or dragged your young teenage children here hoping to be inspired by me. And maybe you are feeling sad, you're thinking to yourself, you know, my child has no social intelligence, my child has no emotional intelligence, my child displays aggressive behavior, my child needs to see a therapist but refuses to see one, my child has no hope of being a doctor. Auntie, uncle, I have a word of hope and encouragement for you. Your child can still be one kind of doctor. He or she can become a surgeon. You are welcome. But you see, why work so hard? Why work so hard when you can be a passenger princess? That's why I married Cliff. But I know some of you are also asking us, you know what is it about the field that helps us thrive? Because some of you are thinking a little more than volunteerism, right? More than just 2 or 3 weeks in a developing country, but doing more. You know, one of the most important tricks or tips is this: the feeling of financial security. It doesn't matter if you are actually financially secure or not. It just matters that you feel financially secure. Do you understand? Now, Western field workers do this very differently from the Asian field workers. The Western field workers, they will do this. They will tell you how financially secure they feel by how much money they spend. Asian field workers, on the other hand, we will tell you how financially secure we are by how much money we save. Can I give you an example? Just a few months before we came back, I asked my Western American field worker friends, how are you spending your summer? And they go, you know, we're just financially ruined. We're so ruined. We've got to send 5 kids back to America. They all got to get braces done. We got to rebuild our front porch. We got to fix our boat. And then on the way back, we got to bring them all to Disneyland. We're so ruined. And I say, I see how ruined you are standing in line for Disneyland. Can I tell you a story that illustrates how Asian field workers like us feel financially secure? Do you want to hear it? When I was young, I grew up with terrible wisdom teeth. Anybody have bad wisdom teeth experiences here? Yeah? A few nods? They would flare up whenever I got stressed. PSLE, A-levels, O-levels. The worst of times through medical school. You know, I went to see a dentist. Do you know those dental clinics where you walk in and you think you need dental advice, but you walk out knowing that you need financial advice? You know the kind of dental clinics, you think you're walking in to scale your teeth, but actually it looks more like an upscale spa. Yeah, so every time I saw a dentist, they would quote me something like, close to the likes of $10,000. They say, no, you cannot just have braces. You can't just have wisdom tooth expression. You need braces, you need jaw alignment, My friends, you and I know this. $10,000 is too much money for a smile. A smile you hardly even use after you get married. So I refused to do it. By the time I mustered up my courage to actually do it, I graduated from medical school, and then I lost eligibility for the Mother-Father Trust Fund. So I decided, you know what? It's okay. After we got married, we decided to spend a year in the field, midway during our time in Uganda. Guess what? All 4 wisdom teeth acted up. It was so painful. You guys are such a compassionate audience, you know? You really feel me. But you know what I told myself? I'm not going to fly back to Singapore at the first sign of trouble. I'm not going to be a wimp. I'm going to sort my problem out here on the field by myself. So I found a Ugandan doctor. She had a clinic, hole in the wall. I went in, I told her, you know, this is really bad. Can you help me? She says, I can help you today. I said, today? She says, like, no. She injects local anesthesia, she gets a pair of pliers, and then she goes, almost there. And the last one, here we go. And I'm like, wow, that was quick. And I go, how much does it cost? And she goes, $100. I say $100? That's $25 a tooth. My friends, I walked out of that dental clinic, $100 per her, but I felt like $1 million. And with the $9,900 I saved, I can bring myself and my entire family to Disneyland. You want to hear another true story? More recent. I have very sensitive teeth. I have good oral hygiene, by the way. It's just that pregnancy, gum recession, sensitive teeth. A few months ago, this was very fresh. I couldn't chew without pain. And finally, I realized that, oh dear, I really have very, very sensitive teeth. I went to see a local doctor in Tanzania, and unfortunately, the dentist made it worse. So I consulted my Singaporean dental friend who said, why don't you try using Sensodyne? Okay, I was not expecting a laugh there too. I love you guys. So we're in Tanzania. We're in a small, remote town where imports are hard to get. But I take a chance. I take a leap of faith. I go to the grocery store and there lies a tube of Sensodyne. I'm so happy I start using it. But nothing changes. My teeth are still as painful. Finally, I realized, you know what? I really need to see a dentist on site. Yeah. So I get wind of an excellent Indian dentist in a town 2 hours away from us. And we drive there to see the dentist. Cliff drive. Cliff drove. I followed. When I see the Indian dentist, I am filled with hope. And she looks at me, she examines my teeth, and she goes, where did you buy your Sensodyne? And I say, the local grocery store back in our town. And she goes, Sensodyne here is not the same. Sensodyne sold here, formulation is from Kenya, different formulation from America. You need to buy Sensodyne from America. And I say, oh no, where am I going to get Sensodyne from America? I have American friends. So I WhatsApp my effusively friendly American friends, and they text me back, and they say, Waisha, don't worry about it. I'm in America. I'm going to be back in a few weeks. I'll help you buy tubes and tubes of Sensodyne. Okay? So she said she's going to be back in a few weeks. I'm like, what? But I wait. I'm very patient. I wait out the few weeks. On the day she lands, I rush to meet her. And guess what? No, she didn't forget. Don't steal my punchlines. I only have so few of them. Don't steal my punchlines. She brings my loot. I take the toothpaste from her. I tear out the plastic wrap packaging. I tear out the cardboard box. I look closely at the fine print on the tube to see which marvelous state of the United States of America will make this Sensodyne toothpaste that will cure me of my sensitive teeth. And I look at the fine print and it says, made in India. My Indian friend, no wonder the Indian dentist is better to buy from America. But I don't want to scare you. There are upsides of living in the field. Okay? Let me ask you a question. How much does a car cost in Singapore? No, seriously, tell me, how much does a car cost in Singapore? Huh? What? 200,000? Oh my goodness. And how long does a car last for in Singapore? Wow, you guys know this. When I was young, when I was growing up, my dad always told me, when a car reaches 10 years of age, it will go to the junkyard to get scrapped. But no one ever gave me a proper car education, because it was only in my mid-30s when I started serving in East Africa that I realized that after 10 years, cars in Singapore, Dubai, and Japan, they do not go to a junkyard to get incinerated. No, they get reincarnated and rebirthed in Africa. Because Africa is car heaven. It's where your car goes when it dies. No one told me this. When we were in Uganda, we went to a second-hand car dealership, and the guy told us, he said, buy this car, brand new car. And I said, brand new? I don't understand. I said, we're in a second-hand car dealership. And he goes, this car, 20 years in Jipun, first time on Ugandan soil, brand new. And I go, I get it, this is the car cycle of life. I give you another piece of good news. Cars in Africa, they never die. Because when we bought our 25-year-old car in Tanzania, people told us, Cliff, Waija, be very realistic. Every 2 weeks, you have to go to the mechanic and fix it. Okay? Because when one part is fixed, another part will be slightly unfixed. And then when they fix that part, another part will be slightly unfixed. And then when they fix that part, another part will be slightly, and I'm like, okay, I get it now. This is the car cycle of Nirvana. Cars here never die, they only get upgraded. So my friends, if you are struggling with car ownership issues in Singapore, join us in Africa, where it is car heaven. Your car never dies, it only gets upgraded. But I've heard more reasons. I've heard reasons like, we're not like you and Cliff, our marriage is struggling, we're not as bonded, I know you guys go through so much stress on the field. Friends, let me give you some encouragement. You don't need to have a super solid marriage to go to the field. You can get stronger there. I'll tell you a story. One day, I was in the master bedroom bathroom and I saw a tarantula bigger than the size of my hand. And the moment I saw it, I took my iPhone out and I went, oh my goodness, this is so adorable. I'm like, Cliff, this is a National Geographic moment right here. Look, do I need to wake the kids? And Cliff goes, wow, Waija, I'm super impressed. And he's like, I could never imagine myself going to the field with any other woman but you. Wow. I look at him and he's very charming as well. He's steadfast, solid, calm. He walks to the kitchen, he gets an empty ice cream tub, and with one fell, clean swoop, he catches the tarantula without any drama. We stand in the master bedroom together, Cliff holding an ice cream tub filled with tarantula, and I looking back straight into his eyes. We have a crash landing moment on you and I. And suddenly, we start exchanging words of affirmation. My friends, these are the moments in the field that you would savor, that you would otherwise never get to savor in the comforts of your home. Right? So guess what? We stay in a little house. We have a house, there's a small garden tightly sealed by a sealed compound. Then there is woods, jungle, river. It's a jungle out there. It's wild. So Cliff left the house and I assumed he went to throw away the tarantula. And when he comes back, I'm about to go to sleep. And I say, sweetheart, out of curiosity, where did you throw the tarantula? And there is this awkward pause. I don't know about you. I don't like awkward pauses. Especially not when they're from my spouse. And he says, I look at him, I see his light flashing before his eyes. Waija, I released it in our garden. I said, you what? In our sealed compound? And he goes, yes. And I go, Cliff. Did you need to reenact this? Are you hungry for words of affirmation? Let me give some to you now. You are so smart. So today, that tarantula is still somewhere prancing around in our sealed compound. And every time we open the master bedroom, we go, These are some tips for survival for the field. In Singapore, time is money, right? In the field, it's different. Luggage space is money. It's very important because if you're like us, you live in a small remote town, you hardly get any visitors. And also, international mail is impossible to receive. So whatever you pack in your bag is what's going to last you for the next 1 to 2 years, right? Would you like some advice on what you need and should pack? Something that is of value and efficiency? The most valuable thing that you can ever pack are sachets of bak kut teh. This is very important. They are very small, compact, lightweight, but they are very valuable. Sadly, I only packed 2 packets. And you know, if you spend a bit more money to buy the songfa bread, you know the first time, gently boil. You can cook how big a pot to feed how many people. And the second time, if you use the same sachet and you boil it to death, you can still cook an equally big pot to feed equally many number of people. But look, bak kut teh sachets are very, very valuable. I hid them. I hid them until 6 months into our mission stint when it was Christmas. I pulled out the big guns and I cooked an entire pot of bak kut teh for my family. Bak kut teh, the pork rib spice tea soup. Right? My daughters, they were so excited. They go, Mommy, this is the most magical Christmas that I've ever had. And they go, can we have this again tomorrow? And I say, sure, of course. I walk into the kitchen. I know the exact coordinates of where I left the bak kut teh sachet that I had used. On a saucer, on the kitchen countertop. I walk in, and it is gone. I say, Cliff, I love you guys. You guys are really following me. Wow, you're really feeling it. I say, Cliff, where is it? I turn around and there's the same awkward pause. And I look at him and I see his mind is partially dissociated from his body. And he says, I threw it away. And I say, you what? I look at him again, and this time I see that his mind is now 100% completely dissociated from his body because he starts to defend himself. Waixia, it's used. And I say, Cliff, this is the power of being Asian. We never use anything once. Have you been to any Asian household? Huh? You open the fridge, can you find anything? No. Why? You open the yogurt tub, there's sambal belacan. You open the margarine box, there's brownie. You open the ice cream tub, there's tarantula. Chicken curry. Every box is a Kinder surprise. Every Tupperware a new discovery. Nothing is where it's supposed to be because we reuse everything. We are the most environmentally conscious race on the face of this planet, not because we care about the earth, but because we are cheap. When the Greek yogurt that I eat for breakfast expires, I save it for lunch and eat it as tofu. Over the year in Tanzania, I've developed irritable bowel syndrome. In my head, I think it's cross-cultural stress, poor sanitation, water outages, power outages. I don't want to hide from you, cross-cultural living is stressful. But Cliff says, Waija, maybe it's just all the expired food that you've been eating. And I go, Cliff, maybe it's because you are chronically irritating me. He's clapping. This is the first time he's heard any of these jokes, my friends. Yeah. So, Canadians are very special. They can tell you the worst news with the biggest megawatt smile on their face. They can tell you they can tell you the hardest things in the nicest ways. So one day Cliff actually comes up to me and he says, Waija, we need to talk. Don't get me wrong. I noticed that in our marriage, sometimes your reaction to things is a little bit disproportionate to the incident that has happened. And I say, go on. And he goes, you see, maybe my suggestion is this. What if you charted your feelings, moods, and behaviors and superimpose them on your menstrual cycle? Then maybe we can find a hormone-based solution after we see a pattern that can solve our challenge together. You want to guess what I said? I said, Cliff, why don't we do the opposite? Why don't we chart your spending? Why don't we track the number of times you throw away good food and waste good things? And then we shall superimpose that on my feelings, mood, and behaviors, and maybe we can see a pattern, and then we can find a problem-based solution for that. Can we? Just saying. I'm sure there's an app out there that can do this. One of you app developers, go do it after the show, okay? Give me some credits. Okay, coming to an end now, but I have something serious to tell you. Those of you who want to go and do something different, go out of your comfort zones, go, help people, take a year off to do humanitarian work, do something crazy. You're gonna face critics. You're gonna face naysayers. You're gonna face things that you don't want to hear from the people you love the most. And some of these people can be your own family of origin, your own parents. It's hard. Okay? I'm going to be honest with you. My parents were not too happy when I became a Christian 18 years ago. They told me, they said, whatever you do, don't be a fanatic. Don't be a fanatic, huh? Whatever you do, don't be a fanatic. Over the years, we have continually shared with them our desire to do humanitarian work. I've gone on several humanitarian trips. But when we had to break the news that we were going to Tanzania, the meeting did not go very well. And my parents were very upset, and they said, why can't you serve your own people in Singapore? If you want to go overseas, why can't you serve your own people in China? Why must you go all the way to Africa? Why can't you go to China? Serve your own people. I didn't say anything. Guys, when your parents are mad, sometimes it's good not to say anything. I didn't say anything. Unfortunately, my 7-year-old at the time overheard this conversation, and the next day she asked me, she said, Mommy, why do Gong Gong and Po Po want us to go to China? Don't they jail Christians in China? And I go, sweetheart, I love Jesus, but I don't know if I love him enough to put all of us in jail. Maybe they're the real fanatics. Ever since Cliff and I have had this dream to do humanitarian work, we've weighed the costs very seriously, and it's something you have to do too, counting the costs, right? Now, before we went to Tanzania, we went to see our lawyer. We got our wills written, and then we had to have this very difficult conversation. What happens if one of us dies first? Right? Can I tell you the truth? I have something to confess. Ever since the day I married Cliff, I've been thinking about remarrying. Don't judge me. It's got nothing to do with the kind of man he is. He's as good as it gets for a Chinese Canadian. is a great man, I mean, but he has a very strong track record of doing very dangerous things, like doing extreme sports, going to dangerous places, marrying me. And then he nearly got himself killed this time just by, on the way back, I had to do so much. I'm like, man, I really got to think about this. Right? So Cliff and I, we've had many tear-jerking conversations about this, and we agree to each other that if either one of us pass on first, the other must be free, set free to remarry. Okay? So I, being the dutiful, faithful wife, I have amassed not a huge, but significant social media following, of which half, I believe, are single young females. So I created a steady, ready pool of female singles for him to stock from should I die tomorrow. I have to do my part till the day I die. But I have a challenge. What happens if Cliff dies tomorrow? I can't market myself while still being married to him. And then if he dies suddenly, what am I going to do? I can't do the job of two parents as one parent. That's too inefficient. And who's going to drive me around? For free. So this is a public service announcement to all the men out there. Whoa. Listen. If you notice that Cliff dies at the same time that your wife dies, please do a direct DM to me. I just want to save time. By the time I'm that age, I have no time to go on dating apps. I have no time to filter out single men. Oh yeah, if the wife dies, actually he's still single. I don't mean it the other way around. But the thing is this, if you are a married man and your wife dies, I will pick you over somebody who has never been married before. Because by the time you come to me, you would have been fully assembled by your first wife and you will be IKEA ready. So please, PSA. At this point in time, before I close, can I just invite the man behind the show up on stage, Cliff Tam. Do you know that Cliff was behind the name Dragon Lady? Why he would name the show after a fire-breathing mythical creature with anger issues, I have no idea. He's the one who created the Eventbrite. He's the one who got the venue and did all the setup together with the amazing volunteers. Can we give him a round of applause? I also want to thank all the amazing volunteers who made this possible tonight. But you know, Cliff, we always say this, if you die, when you die, we have so many tear-jerking conversations about this because sometimes it's so real. What do you always tell me to comfort me?
Marry a real Canadian. And I'm more.
Cliff always tells me, he says, Waija, if I die, when I die, you've heard it from the horse's mouth, he says, go and marry a real Canadian. Go and marry a real Caucasian. Go marry a real Ang Moh. For the record here, since everybody is around, can I just say something? Cliff, if you die, when you die, why would I do that? I would marry a real Asian because only then would he understand minimum input, maximum output. Thanks so much for coming out to the show, guys. We hope you enjoyed it.
Good job.